Hi, hello again. So one of the things that I've always been curious about is someone who is biracial. Like, how do they make a sense of their personal identity, perhaps compared to their social identities? One of the things that I've always been curious, what if you're mixed with black and white? What if you're mixed with Hispanic and white? What if you're mixed with Asian and black or Asian and white? How do you grow up making sense of really who you are? How do you accommodate both sides of who you are? So to get this information, what I did was to sit down with a college student who attends Tarrant County College in Fort Worth, Texas. His name is Junichi Royal, and we sat down for a really interesting conversation about what it is to be biracial and to grow up biracial in America. Join me for this. I think you'll find it to be pretty enlightening. Thank you. All right, so hello, and here I am with Junichi, and we're going to talk about what it is to grow up biracial. He is African American and Japanese, correct?
Yes.
All right. So I guess my first question is for you is just kind of introduce yourself a little bit, and then we'll go from there.
So my name is Junichi Royo. I am Japanese African American. I speak English and Japanese. A little bit of myself, my history background actually. I am one of the descendants from the 272 African soul slave from Georgetown University back in 1838.
1838. Okay. So first of all, what is it to grow up biracial, just generally? Specifically Japanese and
Right.
African American.
It's a lot of excitement because a lot of people don't see a lot of Japanese here in Texas. Although you do, but there's a small chance that you will run into someone who is Japanese. For downside for me, I was bullied when I was growing up, when I was 6th grade. So that was when I was 12 years old. Didn't really know how to handle those tension where I am Japanese and African American. If I was just Japanese, then I'll be simply I am Japanese. Yeah. Vice versa for African American.
Yeah. Okay. So when did you really start making sense of your identity and who you are?
I started realizing, two age difference. I realized when I was about maybe around 5 years old that I am Japanese, but I didn't really get to the African American side.
Why was that, you think?
Because I was born in America, okay. And I grew up in America, but raising the family side of it, I was more grew up in Japanese culture.
Oh, okay.
And so you have a chopstick on the side, a place of food that is very authentic, that was more Japanese. And so I was growing up, and also not only the food, but as well as you watching television, the cartoons, everything was Japanese to me. So the African American side, I didn't realize until junior in high school, which was 2012. So it was very late for me, but I'm still here today. So.
Yeah, okay. So when you realized, then what kind of happened? What kicked in when you realized, well, or when people start perhaps telling you, well, you're black,
right?
You're not really Japanese,
right?
Like, yeah.
I would say yes, I'm African American, but also Japanese. Yeah. Just to understand that not only this side of the ethnicity side, but I'm also this side of the ethnicity side.
Okay. Do you realize though that in America, if you are mixed with black, typically people just see you as black?
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you rationalize that? Because I know you are very conscious of your Japanese heritage.
Right.
But most people are going to just say, well, it's a light-skinned black guy.
Right. I would say that's more of social identity, because when someone looks at me and, oh, he's African American.
So that's the social identity.
So that's social identity. But when they start looking closer, simply my face, they see I have an Asian eye.
Okay.
And so, oh, he's not only African American, but what else
What you're mixed with.
Right. And so people get mixed up that not only African American, but especially Samoan, the Polynesian side of it too.
I think you're from Hawaii or something.
Right, Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, so let me ask you, was it a struggle for you to accept the African American side of you since you grew up predominantly with Japanese customs?
I would say yes, because I didn't start realizing how much slavery occurred.
Okay.
And so, and for my
So your history up until your junior year,
Right.
you weren't that much conscious of the African American side of your
Right.
history. Okay.
so it was more repeated, like African American have gone through
Yeah.
slavery through elementary, middle school, and high school.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I don't really care about it.
Yeah.
But I started realizing when I was watching a documentary called The Hidden Colors by Tariq Rashid.
Mhm.
And so when you start understanding what really happened here in America, you start realizing that my family history, my ancestors have gone through this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I start hating towards my African American side of the family. It's not because that I neglected them. It's just the fact that how much pain they had to go through, and so for me to accept it was accepting those facts was very hard.
Yeah.
Even though in the beginning that I said I'm one of the descendants from the soul slaveries
Yeah.
from Georgetown.
Yeah.
It actually did happen. So they were selling to Maryland and Louisiana.
Mhm.
And so when I heard that, I just got frustrated with all these facts, but regardless of it, I'm still here today.
Okay.
And so, by all means, that even those things that happened in the past, I'm still here today regardless of it.
What role have your parents played in trying to help you, come to terms with your identity, personal identity?
Right. I would say mostly towards Japanese side. My father, who he didn't grow up like.
So which parent is Japanese?
My mom.
Your mom's Japanese?
Yes.
Your dad's African American?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, my dad, he taught me how to be polite to one another. He's not a type of guy who would, saying, take it like a man. You know how to handle this. Don't be showing any weaknesses. Yeah. And so, I think another question is that, how does African American or Black people portray to the other society? Because I believe that a lot of society sees as a bad role model. And so, because I talk in the way that I talk this way, it's not because, actually I take that back. It's not because when a lot of people look at me, they see like, why you're so polite, why you can't be the Black
So
people.
you're not the, quote unquote, for some people, you're not a typical, what
Right.
they consider the typical Black guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't have any guns on my waist. I don't I never been any gang members, anything. It's just that my dad, he wanted to make sure I was in the right path to making sure that I'm not influenced with other people
And so you're saying that's what some people think, not all, some people think that if you're Black, then maybe you're supposed to,
Act
sag
that
or
way.
act a certain way.
Right.
And then if you didn't act that way, then perhaps you didn't fall into that stereotype of
Right.
Okay. So where are you now in terms of accepting your personal identity? And also accepting the fact that while you do recognize your Japanese heritage, people still are going to think you're just a Black guy who's light-skinned
Right.
with curly hair.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say for me that I didn't find myself. I would say I would say I was still leaning towards the Japanese side of the culture, and so for the African.
And is that because of the way your mom brought you up, you're thinking?
I would say I was more influenced the Japanese culture, and I've been to Japan a couple of times, and I just fell in love with the culture area. If I was to live somewhere else, I would probably say Japan. It's not that because, the fact that I was more, like I said, I was influenced. The Japanese side is very quiet. You don't hear a lot of traffic and stuff, depending which city you're in. African American side, I accepted as well. This past summer, I went to New Orleans, Louisiana to see my families. I haven't seen my family for about 2.5 years. So when I went back to see, what did I miss? What did I miss the area of not only New Orleans, Louisiana, but as well as And I finally signed. And so I talked to my aunt and I said, hey, I have a question. So I understand we're descendants from the Georgetown University. Yeah. And she said, I asked her, can you show me the graveyard around here in New Orleans that I heard of, but I haven't seen it yet? Mm-hmm. And so she said, yeah, tomorrow morning we'll start going to different places. And so I went to different places, and I saw my ancestors' graveyard, my great-grandfather, my great-grandmother.
Who were slaves?
Probably. But Isaac Hawkins, who's my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, his wife graveyard was there. And so I looked at him like, this is absolutely amazing, because
that you could actually stand there and see these people who went through all that stuff. Yeah.
And she told me, hey, come in the middle of the graveyard, like the graveyard field, the cemetery. So I said, okay. And she said, what do you see the difference? I see a bunch of graveyards. They're buried, so. And she said, you're right, but what else? I said, I don't know. And she said, the right side, this is a white people's grave. The left side, this is a black people's grave. I said, what?
That's American history for you.
Right, and it's regardless, racism is still alive today. Regardless how bad it is from the past or the present, it's still alive today. And she pointed to one of the graveyard. Okay, she said, or excuse me, she pointed to one of the graveyards saying, this is recently who passed away, who's African American, back into the year 2014. I said, wow, this is shocking. And when we went to another.
So even up to 2014, people were still white side of the graveyard,
right, and black side
of the graveyard.
And when I went to another graveyard, I went out, and it dawned on me really quickly and I told my aunt, these people never left the sugar cane. Because you have the graveyard, around the graveyard, there's sugar canes. Wow. And I was like, okay, it was really, I was speechless, basically. And I was.
How did that make you feel when you saw like history like that in front of your face? Your African American side of the history.
I would say I was finally awakened. It's not because I wouldn't say I wouldn't neglect it, although I didn't know how to cope with the African American side. Yeah. But when I finally awakened myself, that looking a lot of these histories and a lot of the places that I went to, I was finally awakened for myself.
Yeah. So what would you say to some people out there who are African American or whatever would say, well, this guy just needs to realize that he's black, and America's just going to see him as black.
Right.
There are going to be people who are going to say that. Yeah, this guy just needs to realize he's black. And America's going to see him as black. What do you say to those people?
Personally, I would say it takes time to realize something.
Yeah.
Even at the youngest age, to the people who are close to being retired, they're not realizing yet. Until they start realizing, they're like, oh, this is what happened in my family history. Yes, I get the fact that I'm African American, but I didn't really open my eyes till junior year.
Because of the way you were raised.
Yeah, basically how I was raised.
So let's talk about your schooling now. Prior to college, what was your experience like being the minority mixed kid on campus?
Right.
Yeah. High school, all that good stuff. Junior high. Were you teased? Were you?
So 6th grade I was teased. So this was when I was 12 years old. I was close being commit suicide myself. Planning suicide a day before.
So you thought about committing suicide because you were being teased? What were they
teased.
Calling you?
They were calling me Tree.
Tree?
Yes, based on my height.
Your height and your hair.
They would say Chichi because Chichi in Spanish means breast in Spanish.
Okay.
There was a lot of things I really didn't like. They teased me how I dressed and everything else. I felt like.
And you spoke different.
I spoke different, yes. And I felt like my life wasn't worth it. I should kill myself.
So you thought about killing yourself?
Right.
Okay.
Well, at first I was thinking about killing for other people. I mean, the people who were bullying me.
Yeah.
Then I realized, well, you know what? I can't kill these people because in Ten Commandments says, "Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not murder other people."
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I'd rather kill myself, and hopefully no one will remember me.
Yeah. Wow.
But thankfully I was saved. Went to the youth camp back in 2016 in summer. and one of the pastors said, if you have any struggles that you've been dealing with for a long time, please come up to us, and hopefully we could help you pray over you. My body was so shaking that I wanted to go, but I really wanted to stay because I didn't want any help. I was still in a mindset.
But something kept pushing me to go up there.
Right. And so
do you think that's God? Do you think that's faith? How do you?
I would say it was more of, I would say I definitely needed it. So I believe that God was telling me to go up front. Yeah. So I ran up front, and I didn't know what I was doing. And a man came up to me and said, I see a pastor and Holy Spirit, and he lays hands on my head, and he started praying, and I started crying. All the pain I had, all the suffering I had.
From the bullying
and all the things I have. I self-abused myself consistently.
How did you do that? How did you abuse yourself?
Mentally telling myself I'm not worthy to live here, I'm pathetic, I'm just excuse my language, I'm just a jackass. And all kind of stuff that I said to myself. And after I was free from these the pain I had, my hollow inside my body finally fit in the missing pieces that I needed. And so
that day in church was your moment of coming to light,
right,
so to speak.
Right.
Emerging from that dark place that you were in mentally, right, and spiritually perhaps too.
Right. Yeah. And so I found out later people were jealous of me. The reason why, I take that back. The reason why people was bullying me because they were jealous of me, how I talk, how I speak a different language, how I look differently than other people. So
carry yourself differently.
Right. Yeah. And so a lot of guys who were bullying me, they were jealous of me that I had a unique,
uniqueness about yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And when it comes to girls, a lot of girls who bully me, they liked me. And so I didn't realize probably 5 years later, and when I went back to the alumni school that I went to, one of the teachers said, so you know why those kids were bullying you? I said, why? And I kind of knew in my head, but I just wanted what was her answer going to be. She said, well, those people who were jealous of you. I said, I nodded, I said, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So where are you right now in terms of, all of this, all that's happened?
Right.
It's thinking about suicide, personal identity versus social identity,
right,
come to terms with your family and their their history, your ancestors and their heritage and slavery, and
right,
all that kind of stuff that where are you with all that now? Where are you?
I am that's a tough question actually. I think I'm in a situation where I finally accepted myself, who I am, and
so you're now walking in your own truth.
Yes,
basically.
And for those who have bullied me, I already forgave them, regardless. People who came up to me probably recently, about 5 months ago, who told me, I'm sorry for bullying. I said, I don't remember what you bullied me, but I'd rather forgive those people and just let go those avenges or angers or frustration.
Yeah, because the forgiveness really, it's not really for them, it's
right,
for you. Because
right,
if you hold on to it, then you're just going to be angry
right,
all the time.
It's going to be paranoid for me.
Yeah, you're going to be paranoid.
Yes.
It's just, you just forgive and move on.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the same time, for those people who I have experienced what suicidal is and bullies, felt like I started helping other people, I would say beginning of my freshman year.
Yeah.
I went to school, the first day of school, I went to, my regular classes and meeting new friends and everything else. But when I came back home, I realized that there was a lot of things that a lot of people needed help, such as drugs, gangs, girls who was very young who were pregnant, and all the things that I didn't feel like that. I felt like they needed help, but I didn't go up to them and say, "Hey, you need help for whatever regardless reason."
Just found a way to help.
Right, and so when I see someone who's feeling down or alone, I would come up to them, hey, is everything all right? Should I help you anything else? So they would talk about their situation where they're in. And one person I could think of right now is, who I'm very proud of today. He was a freshman, and I was in a marching band and so I was loading all the equipments for percussion, the instrumentals, and other stuff. And I see this one person was leaning against the wall. I kept on passing by a couple of times, and I said, so I finally said, you know what? Let me let go of this loading so I could talk to this person specifically. So I went up to him and I said, what's wrong? He gave me the report card to me. I said, okay, well, what's about it? I see you got a good grades in here. He said he got his English class, he got a 58%. And so I said, okay. So what else do you need help? He said his parents are having an argument. I don't know what was their argument about.
Okay.
So he wanted to hitchhike or run away from home so that.
Was it an argument about the grades, his schoolwork, or other personal things?
I think there was other personal things,
yeah.
But I don't believe it was including his grade.
So he couldn't take the argument going on between his parents, basically, the drama. Yeah.
The drama and as well as grade, because the teacher wasn't fair to him or fair to other people. And so I said, okay, look, I literally looked at myself, okay, I don't know how to help this young man, but I said I'll do my best whatever I can. I said, I understand you're not in a good situation with your grade, and I understand you weren't able to march with us since due to your grades.
Yeah.
And I said, but do the best you can. Don't ever give up yourself, and have faith in your parents that hopefully that one day that they'll start negotiating and be happy about it, and not only your parents but your family itself. And that night, I prayed for him and making sure he was okay, making sure that he was on the right path and everything else. I didn't talk to him until next semester, and I kind of felt bad about it. But either way, I talked to him again and see where he's at. He went from 58 to 85% his English.
I guess, for a lot of people, they just need somebody to believe in them.
Right.
Just need support or whatever the case is. Yeah.
And so that was one of the case or the situations.
So basically, because you went through adversity, because you went through a difficult time, you're able to turn around and help someone. So.
Right. So for what I've experienced, I realized I wanted to help other people in a situation, and
especially people who are being bullied and probably thinking about killing themselves or whatever the case.
And so I always had this. The part that the person who prayed over me, he said, the pastor and the Holy Spirit. I get the Holy Spirit part, but I didn't get to really understand what's the definition of pastor. And so recently, I would say probably a month ago, I looked it up in the dictionary, and it's I can't remember quite exactly how it goes, but it says a person who's carrying multiple spirits. And I realized that I was caring for other people who had these, whatever situation they had.
Yeah.
And I realized that, I'm glad I was helping other people, because if I didn't, then things were not going so well.
So your life was spirit, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and help other people. So let me ask you, I guess finally here, for anyone who's also biracial, what would you say to them? The young kid who is getting teased at school, maybe because they're also black and whatever, or they're Hispanic, or just minority kids in general, or any kid, right? Boy, girl, white, black, whatever. What would you say to them who are being bullied and teased in school, either because they're biracial or just because they're being teased?
Right. For the biracial part, I would say continue to. In the beginning, it's kind of hard for acceptable for them, regardless whether it's black and white or how I am black and Japanese. I would say look up your history and really digging through who you are in a sense of what happened to your ancestors. And if you have a able experience, you have something far more better than what you're going to be in a situation in a negative way. But have hope that you will have something good in your life that is upcoming, or to say the best is always yet to come.
Yeah. So something to look forward to.
Something to look forward to. For the people who are bullying me, don't give up yourself. Keep on fighting through. In the beginning, it's gonna be hard, but at the very end, you'll find something precious in your life. for me personally, I would tell, I would give, or excuse me, for me personally, both bullying and biracial, I would talk about myself. Not because I'm bragging myself or spoiling myself.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that I rather share for other people.
Yeah, it's good. It's good for you to share so that other people can, you know, that's why we're doing this too, so that somebody else out there might be able to hear it and say, wow, I'm going through this, or this happened to me, or whatever the case is.
And so I encourage other people that, you know, whatever happened to me is gonna something happen, but I hope that for the people who's watching this channel right now is making just have courage in yourself, have faith in yourself that something extraordinary, or excuse me, that you have something special.
Special. Yeah, and I think the thing is, just to take into consideration, is that all of us are unique and there's something special about us. I think one of the things is to also, life becomes a whole lot easier when you walk in your own truth, when you accept who you are as a person, whether it is you're biracial, whether it is you're gay or you're straight or whatever the case is. You really have to learn to accept yourself and walk in your own truth. So I want to thank you very much for being here today, and hopefully this interview that we had, someone will be able to learn from it. Don't forget to hit subscribe to the bottom there. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave your comments on the channel. We have other interviews coming up. We're going to be talking to someone who's gay and in the church. We'll have an interview on someone who is an exotic dancer that I'll sit down with pretty soon. We're going to talk more about education as well. We have a lot of interesting topics coming up: abuse, the opioid and drug addiction crisis, and I do work in that field as well. Besides being a college professor and an educator, I also work in that field also. So don't forget again to hit subscribe and keep up with us, and you'll see us again real soon here at the Sheldon Show. Thank you very much.